Let's have a look at some of the UMCO footage. There's still UMCO 2012, and it's going to be remembered for years to come as one of the toughest UMCOs. As you know, it starts in a reverse format now. It starts at Josephine's Bridge and heads down to Riverside Store on the first day, and then heads up to the second day, which goes through the Umkomaas Valley. It's always hot. You always see bright blue skies like this. And this is the start of day one, I believe.
That's day one, yeah, correct.
You didn't have the best of day ones. You broke a paddle, didn't you?
Yeah, look, that's the one thing about this race. When it is bony and stuff like that, you're going to damage some equipment. And Grant just broke a paddle, but majority of the guys actually take spare blades with you. So we pulled to the side and lost a bit of time, but managed to pull out the spare paddle and carry on racing.
This is exactly what day one is like. I mean, the rocks are just under the surface the whole way. Look here, this is how not to do it, I think. This ends badly, I think.
Oh, shame.
Give these guys some tips. This
Get
is
out.
going to end out. And this is now armbands on because it's going to hurt a bit, I think.
Oh, no, for sure.
And there's the
That's
ladies'
not how
line.
you want to go down the Umkomaas.
Day one, you landed up coming back from behind and opening up. I think you had a 3.5 minute lead.
Yeah, we lost some time. At that stage we had broken away with Matthew Bowman and the other team best 4 paddlers of
There's
Brandon van
Andy
der Walt.
Burkett and Jason Graham leading the guys through day one rapids.
Yeah, I think this was further on. We had already got away, I think.
And Andy, by the way, went on to win the Grand Slam.
Okay, that's correct. I think it's combination 50 miler, Doozy and Umkomaas.
And there's one of your team best for Kayak Centre teammates who's not afraid of any challenge.
No.
Lady up for anything.
They opted for a much bigger boat. They went for the Ascent.
Yep.
Compared to their main opposition that I think that went for one of the Popes. I think they called him Mirage.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I think it paid off.
There she is taking off at the start of day two.
There you
Okay,
can
this
see
is
Hillary
number
there.
one.
This is number one.
And here you go.
Yeah, that's a good draw stroke. Yeah.
It's quite nifty on the approaches.
Yeah, that you don't actually see how nervous I actually was there, but yeah, it doesn't really do it justice. But it's definitely pretty steep dropping into that hole, knowing that you're just waiting for that impact, you know.
Okay, now here's some guys doing pretty well. There is, by the way, Cam Schoeman's least famous moment is about to come up because he's paddling with Sean Griffin. They get into a little bit of trouble as they drop into number one. It lands up with Cam abandoning ship. Look at this, incredible. He's out, Sean stays in.
Oh my word.
Sean carries on. Oh! And now things can go wrong in number one. Just watch this. This is not good.
Oh no.
There's no way
That's
doesn't
where you don't want to go in number one.
When is the last time you guys had a problem on an UMCO? Because when it goes wrong, you tend to pay a fairly heavy price for it.
Oh look, I think a couple of years ago, Grant and I, we broke away and we were winning in about 3Ks from the finish. We actually snapped a rudder cable. But I literally did back steer then. I was in the back and he told me to start steering the boat. But other than that, yeah, touch wood. I haven't had to swim down too many rapids. So I've only swum once with Hereford actually, and I was in a pre-race, and it was the first time, and I think he said in 20 years that he swum in the Umkomaas. So I gather it was my fault.
Remember, you can keep your questions coming for Hank if there's something you'd like to ask him. It's very simple. There are 3 ways you can do it. Use Twitter simply by using the handle @BeyondThePaddle. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Best for Beyond the Paddle, or you can go to the website beyondthepaddle.co.za and send us your questions. Questions are starting to come in here, Hank. Are you going to go back and do a Molokai? You've won it once.
Yes, I've won it. I've been there 3 years. I actually went 3 years in a row, and I finished. The first 2 years I think it was one of the flattest that they've ever had it, and it was the longest one because they added it. We finished at Waikiki Main Beach, so they added on another like 13 kilometers, and it ended up winning time 5.5 hours. And being South Africans, we budgeted, so we didn't take any escort boats. So what we took from the start was what we finished with, and you know, in 45 degrees heat to take 3 liters of juice didn't last too long. And I was asking where the finish was and I think it was 2 hours to go still. So I ended up second twice, and the last time I went, I managed to pull off a win. So I haven't been back. It was still flat. I've never done a Molokai where they said it's big downwind, and I think I owe it to myself to go back one more time.
So that's I think this year we've got the likes of Matt Bowman going.
Yeah, Matt's going. He's been training really hard. Oscar's going. I think those are the two South Africans that are going, but they're up against an all Aussie strong crew. It's quite a short flight for the Aussies compared to anywhere else. I think it's only like a 9.5 hour flight. And look, Hawaii is beautiful. It's a beautiful place to visit. And they treat surf ski paddlers like idols there, because it's just the water is part of their culture. And obviously from the outrigger canoeing, and they all know everything about surf ski paddling. So it's a great race to go to. It is expensive for a South African. Yeah. It is probably one of the most expensive races, but it's an iconic race, and you race from one island to the next. There's very few places that happen like that around the world.
Well, you're racing a lot domestically. You raced virtually all the races you could in the Varsity College Marine Surf Ski Series, the Friday night series.
Correct.
And congratulations, you won that series. I think
Thank
defending
you.
the title that you won last year. Is that part of your makeup? I mean, do you sort of factor that into your week?
Oh, look, I mean, I think a lot of people don't know that I do work full time, and you know, when it comes 4:30 on a Friday afternoon and you've had a bad week or a bad day, you know, you just feel like getting in the water and going for a paddle, and you know, maybe taking your frustrations out. And Barry Learn's Marine Varsity College race, it's a fantastic thing. Hoppers 5, it starts, it's convenient, it's in Durban, it's on the beach, and some of the beautiful evenings, and like I say, you're racing some of the top class field. So
okay, well, let's have a look at that last race, because what's significant about that, it's not only the race that allowed you to decide your victory in the series, but it was also the SA Schools Champs.
Correct.
And the one thing that you cannot deny about surf ski at the moment is there are a bunch of youngsters, schoolboys and girls, that are coming through the ranks that have just got talent written all over them in big neon letters.
100%.
Which is very encouraging.
Oh, look, there's lots of kids on the way up. I mean, they've also seen us. They've seen through TV programs like this, and they've seen what traveling around the world for a surf ski paddler, especially us professional guys, that we get to see the most exotic places, resorts around the world. You know, so surf ski paddling it's fantastic. There's always guaranteed water, which is one thing compared to a lot of other races. But yeah, I think it's an up and coming sport, and the youngsters, it's something to do when the surf's not so great, and you can pull out a surf ski and still do a race.
Absolutely. The Friday night sessions you had were invariably up against Matt Bowman, Grant van der Walt. I mean, some serious talent. It's not lightweight racing.
No, look, we actually had Jasper Mocker that came across. He had just returned back from Perth with one of the first World Series races, a Perth Doctor race.
Where he was second.
Where he came a close second. I think he finished like 30 seconds behind Tim Jacobs, and he beat his brother, which was a big thing. And he came to our race, and he didn't manage to get on the podium. So,
yep.
Like the Durban boys had a bit of a chirp at him, but yeah.
But I mean, for people who don't know this Friday night vibe, it's 8Ks, it's over in 35, 40 minutes for you guys, and it's just an amazing way to start the weekend and end your week.
100%. Like I say, it starts the weekend, starts it off with a bang in a race, and like I say, the field's always top quality, and it's great when the Cape Oaks come up and try and race the Durban boys.
Yeah, and these are some of the scenes from the last race here, which nobody really dominated. It was flat out racing all to the end. I think you won this in the closing kilometres.
Yeah, look, it all depends on the conditions. Like now you can see there's a westerly blowing, which means the course is a lot flatter. It's sheltered by the harbour wall, so there's limited assistance by the sea. But yeah, I always knew it was going to be a close race, and it ended up me dicing my doubles partner Grant van der Walt to the line.
You've always grown up in the sea, haven't you? The sea's been very close to you. I think you grew up in the Cape, which a lot of people don't know. Your dad had very strong links into lifesaving, so you were always on the beach as a lighter, weren't you?
Always. I grew up through lifesaving, and like I say, I've always liked paddling in the sea. I mean, I've paddled across the Atlantic chasing my father's yacht. So yeah, it's just part of. I'd say I've got salt water in my blood, if you want to put it that way.
Okay, the one thing about this year's season, having graduated out of the Varsity College Marine Surf Ski Series, we now go into the Discovery Best 4 Winter Series, which is probably, if not the oldest, certainly one of the most established surf ski series in the world. But the big deal this year is that we have taken out the World Cup from the Durban calendar, and that's gone to Cape Town at the end of the year. Your feeling on that?
Yeah, look, it's one of those things that happen. Ultimately, we'd love to have the Durban World Cup still around, but as sponsors and stuff, it's always hard to run such a big event. So look, it's moved, it's gone down to Cape Town. I'm sure they're going to put on a great show. It's the weekend, as far as I know, before the Cape Point Challenge. So you could actually, from an international point of view, come and do two of the, I would say, biggest races in South Africa, I'm sure, but also do an iconic race such as the Cape Point Challenge at the same time.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Question coming in via Twitter, by the way. Stuart, you can probably guess which Stuart this is. Hank, why do you think the training crowd at Blue Lagoon is producing so many high caliber paddlers at the moment? It's actually a good question.
Yeah, look, I think sometimes we're getting 40, 45 paddlers rocking up for a training session, and I think a lot of the guys are saying, well, you know, especially the older crowd, they're saying, hey, maybe if we can just train with maybe this group, we can improve maybe some positions on the doozy or any of the other races. So I think also we got everyone that's paddling with us, from top quality guys, Len Jenkins, Grant van der Walt, Ann Stott, Matthew Bowman. We had Oscar Chalipsky there this last week. He's doing some speed work, getting ready for Molokai. So yeah, I think it's just the quality of field, and the guys are all training together. So,
big question now. You spent some time up at the High Performance Centre in Pretoria, Tikkies, which is highly respected for its ability as sports scientists. Do we get enough support as paddlers? Paddling is a Cinderella sport. You're very fortunate that Team Best for Kayak Centre allows you to get up to the High Performance Centre. But if we are meant to be world beaters at surf ski, which is not an Olympic sport, it's a serious sideline sport, do we get enough support?
No, look, like I say, thanks to Team Best for you know, for putting us through to getting through the High Performance Centre. But yeah, I think if it's definitely something that you can improve with. I mean, you can always get more support. You can inevitably in any sport you can get more support. But look, we are one of the like you say, the Cinderella sports. I would say it's a hard thing to say, but it's one of those sports where only now we're getting a lot of coverage from it. So maybe we can get with bigger sponsors and more coverage like this. We can actually maybe start up some more teams that in opposition to Team Best 4 that also can get the backing and stuff. But the High Performance Centre, that's just raising the game. You know, that's all those stuff those questions that you always ask. Will this help me or won't this help me? They can answer that question for you.
Okay, they might be watching, and I don't want you to offend them. Does it help you? Because I believe you're not exactly a nutritionist's dream.
No, I wouldn't say so. Yeah, I've actually, when I was in Cape Town, when I got tested a couple of years ago, Tim Noakes was actually there, and the nutritionist actually said to me, "What do you eat?" And I gave him my whole thing, and she said, "I think you have to be the worst candidate, that athlete that's ever been in the High Performance Centre." And I just I was like, "Oh my," you know. So she said, "You know what? If you probably ate correctly, you'd probably be world champion." So I think Tim Noakes just chuckled. He said, "No, he is world champion." So she came back with a really quick answer and said, "Well, you'd win it by further." So I said, "Right, I'll listen." So yeah, I think it's just, you can raise your game, you can always improve, you can always learn, and you're never bigger than the sport. And I think the High Performance Centre, it's fantastic that they're behind us.
I mean, looking at what you guys are going through here in the visuals, it's fairly intense work, all closely monitored. Do they then keep track on you on a fairly regular basis to see how you're doing? Do they give you a plan?
Yeah, look, right through from psychologists to nutritionists to you name it, to strength tests. Now what happens, we'll go back every couple of months, and then they'll test us again and see if anybody's had too much to eat and put on too much weight, or if you've got stronger or not. And you know, it just gives you that sort of that question mark where you say, well, maybe I should be doing this, or maybe I shouldn't be doing. You can actually get those answers, and that's, for me, I can look at it and go forward, you know.
Okay, are you one of the guys that reads your body? Do you wake up in the morning and you sense, yeah, I'm in a good place, or I'm behind, or this is my target event, I'm on track?
I'm telling you all my secrets here. No, I'm not. I should, and if anybody's watching, you should check your heart rate, eat correctly, stay away from all of those fast foods and all that stuff. Just, yeah, don't hang out with me,
and don't have as much Coke as you have.
Hey, okay, Dave. Boy, now all my secrets are out there, you know. But yeah, like I enjoy the good food, if you want to put it that way, and the convenient food, especially if you're on the road, like with work and stuff like that. You know, stopping at some of these garages, they really stock up now. You know? From the old pies, and I mean, now you get those fresh stops, and it's fantastic. You know, so for me, I don't eat correctly, but like I say, when I line up at a race, all of that's behind me, and and you just got to focus on the task in front.
So you became the world marathon champion for the very first time, a huge moment in your career, and you celebrated by going where for dinner?
I went to McDonald's.
Correct. No further questions, Macleod. If you want to ask any questions for Hank, remember you've got 3 options. You can do it on email by going to the website beyondthepaddle.co.za. You can use Twitter simply by going the handle @beyondthepaddle, or you can go to our Facebook page, Best 4 Beyond the Paddle. And remember, it's all proudly brought to you by Best 4. And it's really simple. Let's face it, nobody's ever satisfied with mediocrity, underachieving, or being second best. And Hank sitting in the studio with me, there's no better example. And that's why Best 4 has developed that superior quality nutritional supplement range that you can see, that gives you the opportunity to achieve optimal health so you can perform at your peak and do whatever it is that you do best. Their omega-3 supplement range, which is 100% derived from krill oil, which I believe comes from the Arctic Circle, is available for both adults and baby development in expectant moms. You're not about to become a father, are you? You've got that under...
No, not yet.
Hank and nappies, there's an interesting question. So I trust you're going to be stocked up with the goods when that comes around. Their Best 4 allergy prevention range has been specifically formulated for the needs of children as well as adults. It's now available at Dis-Chems and other leading pharmacies. Best 4 nutritional supplements are good, better, best for you and every member of your family. Remember to keep those questions coming. Another question coming in. Hank, why did you not go to the Olympic Games? Were the Olympics never a priority for you?
Definitely not. To be honest, it's always been my dream since I was 15 years old, and I watched one of my idols, Clint Robinson, actually win the Olympic gold. I said to my dad, "That's where I want to go. You know, that's what I want to be. I want to be world champion. I want to be Olympic champion." And yeah, look, it just never. I had my opportunity. 2003 Olympic qualifying. I was paddling for South Africa, number 1 position for K1000, and we had to qualify. You had to make the final, top 8, which is the same qualifications the guys have got now, and it's super tough. I mean, it's nothing like, there's no time, or it's purely position. 4 semi-finals, best 2 to the final, and I was drawn with Olympic champion and at that stage world champion, and it was always going to be a tough ask, and I ended up crossing the line, I think in 4th, and yeah, I didn't get the fastest 3rd time, and that was pretty much my lowest point, I would say, in paddling at that stage. And my dad was coach at that time, and I messed it up. I flunked it on the day. I cost it. You know, it was my fault, and I went out too hard. I think even the times that I did now, even if I went flat out to try and do the halfway split, I wouldn't be able to do it. I just went out too fast, and I got caught up in the whole moment. And if I'd maybe paced it correctly, I definitely could have qualified, but I didn't. And the record was stand that I didn't make it to the Olympics. And I would love to go. I'd love to. I would have gone. I think I'm too old at the moment, and maybe if I can go for something else, you know, ballroom dancing or sailing or chess or you know, something else. But yeah, look, it's one of those things that it's always going to be a sore point, you know. And like I say, it was my fault. And a week later, I became world champion, and I think that made a big difference in my life. But yeah, I would love to go.
It's unlike you to quit as well. Something like that, I would have thought would have fired you up, and you would have come back with a vengeance, said, you know, I'll get this thing eventually.
Yeah, look, it was just one of those events. Like, I'd already put so much time and effort into it. My dad and I, we had spent many a day training, visualizing, analyzing, and at the end of the day, it was my fault. You know, it's a tough sport, and like I say, it's in canoeing. It's probably one of the hardest things to qualify for Olympic Games, and for the people that have qualified, like Bridget and Tiffany, it's a fantastic achievement, you know. And like I say, I'd love to be going to the Olympic Games, but I've pulled back a world title, and it's the highest you can achieve in marathon racing. So for me, it's sort of like an equalizer, but it will never be an Olympic gold medal.